States designates terrorist group Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, amongst other groups as entities of particular concern. Kenya's government drops plans to introduce a controversial new school syllabus at the start of the academic year in January. And participants at the ongoing climate change conference in Poland have been asked to tell their stories in order to break the climate deadlock. Hello and welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Teniola Shibowale. The United States has designated the terrorist group Boko Haram as one of the entities of particular concern. Others listed alongside Boko Haram are Al-Nusra Front, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Al-Shabaab, the Houthis, ISIS Khorasan, and the Taliban. In a statement posted on the U.S. State Department website, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also designated some nations, including China, Eritrea, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, as countries of particular concern. According to Pompeo, under the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998, these countries have engaged in or tolerated what is described as systematic violations of religious freedom. The statement adds, quote, "In far too many places across the globe, individuals continue to face harassment, arrest, or even death for simply living their lives in accordance with their beliefs. The United States will not stand by as spectators in the face of such oppression," end of quote. He says that protecting religious freedom is vital to ensuring peace, stability, and prosperity across the world. Joining us now is a security expert, Temitope Olodo, to discuss this further. Hello, good to see you.
Hey.
So why is the United States now more concerned about these groups?
It is important that the United States shows an interest in this group because this group are already listed on the global index of terrorism, particularly Boko Haram, that's caused so much havoc, within the Nigerian territory, even attacking military installations and using new modern technology to fight their war against the Nigerian people. Why our military have been a bit slow in managing this group, which is working transnational.
Well, we know that the United States and other EU states have contributed to the fight against insurgency in Africa. Are they now saying these measures on ground are not enough to curtail this?
I think it is good to welcome the contribution of other countries into fighting the war on terror. But nobody fights the war on terror better than the locals and the people themselves. We know, for example, that Boko Haram's signatory is anything against Western education. But what narrative have we produced as a nation to address it in terms of when you look at those countries that we're talking about, the Western countries, all the policies and methodologies that they're using to fight insurgency in their own countries or terrorism are available for public consumptions. But in our country, the contrary is the case. So citizen participation or driven approach to tackling terrorism is not there. And that's the reason why we've been a bit slow in managing terrorism. And even if you bring all the equipment to the world, we've seen that Boko Haram cannot be dealt with that way. It's not just about equipment, it's about winning heart and mind. And that is not really happening on ground in countries like Nigeria and other countries that are listed.
Well, as a security expert, what suggestions do you have for tackling what Secretary of State Mike Pompeo calls a systematic violation of religious freedom?
There's no doubt that Nigeria now needs to have a robust strategy in place to ensure tolerance, religious tolerance in our country. Just across the 36 states, there have been places where there have been flashpoints like Kaduna and other states within Nigeria where religious undertones have been part of the reasons why people have been killed or homes have been destroyed. So, for example, I was in United Nations, Geneva, a few days ago, where we were talking about education for peace. Now, if you have a peace strategy and you have initiative in place to ensure that peace is embedded in what we do, that people can have dialogues about religion without being attacked, then that's a good step forward. But we've not seen any strategy in Nigeria to deal with the issue of religious tolerance. There have been a lot of lip service approach to dealing with it. And it's not just about having religious studies on your curriculum in schools, but it's about that active engagement of the key stakeholders in this field to ensure that we are dealing with the issue of religious tolerance. And that is not in existence right now.
Well, I think the million-dollar question here is, how does one win the fight against insurgency?
There are many ways to fight about insurgency, and it's possible to deal with them. If you look at Nigeria as a country, for example, and all the areas where there have been attacks, you ask yourself what initiative has the government introduced. For example, we know that girls have been used for carrying suicide bombers. But what have we done to educate parents to ensure that when children are missing, we have a database to identify children that are missing? We don't know. In the United States, as we speak, and even in other countries around the world where there have been attacks, within 24 or 48 hours, individuals who have been involved in those attacks are named. In Nigeria, nobody that have actually blown themselves up have actually been named, so they are nameless. They are faceless. Why? Because we don't have a database. So those are the kind of initiatives we need to have in place. Marketplace have been bombed. Have we changed the approach in entering marketplace? Have we put in place proper structure within schools to ensure that there is no attack in schools? Of course, we'll put physical security, but the principals and all the other individuals involved in the running of the school, do they know what to do to identify individuals that are being radicalized and being able to send them to the appropriate groups? What have we done with the people that we have de-radicalized to use as success stories for others not to join Boko Haram or other groups like that? We've not done anything along that line. So we need a proper reorientation of the way in which we fight terrorism if we're really serious about dealing with terrorism.
Security expert Temitope Olodo, it's been interesting getting your thoughts on that issue. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much for having me.
Moving on now, Somalia's militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab has shot dead execution-style 3 men. It accuses 2 of the men of working for the army. The third man killed was an elderly clan leader who helped choose candidates for the 2016 parliamentary elections. According to media linked to Al-Shabaab, the killings took place in front of a crowd in Mubarak village in southern Somalia. The militants, who are linked to Al-Qaeda, control much territory in rural areas of Somalia and are fighting to overthrow the UN-backed government. The militants are known for killing suspected informers, including those accused of spying for the United States and other foreign intelligence